just like to give a big shout out to my guidance counselor in high school. I don't think this is what you brought up, but it's working for me. I'm Shannon Moore, this is More Up North, and I'm really excited tonight. We invited quite a few candidates, and not very many of them wanted to come in. I don't know, because whatever, they were busy, but I'm really happy. The one person I really wanted to talk to was able to come in, Paul Honeman, who's a candidate for East Side Assembly seat, which is now being filled with Sheila Selcraig's self. Lieutenant Honeman served for over 23 years with the Anchorage Police Department. He's probably pulled over a lot of you naughty little liberals that are here tonight. No,
but I don't remember. I would not remember.
And 2 years with the Federal Protective Services. And I know that you've spent a lot of time in Anchorage contributing other ways, coaching hockey, all sorts of things. You're kind of like just the show-up guy.
I have a hard time with that little two-letter word my wife says when someone asks, "Can you help?" And typically I get involved. I guess you could say in life there are people who are spectators and those that are active participants, and I fall in that latter category.
You know, my pop used to say every day when he'd drop us off at school or we'd pull up to school, he'd say, "Okay, show up." And it wasn't like be good, because what does that mean? But it was show up for your life. And it looks, I mean, I've seen you so many different places, and certainly none of them by the side of the road getting in trouble.
No.
Just wanted to mention that. Have you ever run into people that you arrested and now they're like fine and everything?
Actually, quite often. I just the other day went into a local restaurant, and here was a person and we're both just kind of wide-eyed at each other, and very good to see people actually making mistakes in life, and you basically hold them accountable, and the system worked, and in this case it got their attention, and they're bettering themselves, and that's always refreshing to see.
That must actually feel pretty good.
It really does. I've actually stayed in touch with several people that I've arrested, and it's a good feeling, and it's just kind of strange when you take someone to jail and they thank you, and I've had several of those over the years. I just really treat people as people. I'm respectful and treat them with dignity, and again, they make mistakes. It's not for me to judge. I just do my part of the system. So.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I got an email from someone, because I had mentioned you on the air, who said that they at one point were arrested by you and had never been treated so decent by anybody as they were by you when they were being arrested. And that said a lot to me, that how we treat people when they're at their worst, and still be able to do your job, to take them in, to make them accountable, as you said, but to not forget that they're a person. And we all make decisions that I think we just hope everybody can recover from at some point. So,
am I blushing? I feel like a little turning red.
No, I don't think you should. Maybe you are. If you are, that's just extra cute.
Okay, there
you get cute points.
It matches the shirt, right?
No, so you're running for Assembly East Side. You've lived on the East Side for a long time. You're running against someone, Adam Trombley. Neither one of you is an incumbent on this. This is a vacant seat. So he's been appointed by Mayor Sullivan to the Anchorage Budget Advisory Commission, which has been really interesting since last July. They seem to have some real issues with, I don't know, losing $10 million and then finding it.
That is kind of interesting. I'm a public school graduate here at Bartlett High. In fact, my wife and I, my two children, and hope someday my two grandsons. And math was never my major or strong suit. I was probably a C average student. I'm sorry, I bested my efforts I could. But I think I can do a little better than, we're going to be 17 million short, possibly 25. Now we're 10 million to the good. And I'd like to offer
called a surplus.
Exactly. I'd like to offer my mathematical skills and give it a whack. And not trying to be sarcastic about it. It is really confusing to the public. I mean, here we were all willing to.
I think it's confusing to the mayor.
Well, I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is.
I mean,
and I'd like to help. I'd like to help straighten it out.
Well, I think that when I look at you as a candidate, and there's lots of different candidates that are running right now, well, several different seats that are open. I think what you bring to the Assembly and what you would bring if you're elected. I mean, I'm not in your district, but what you would bring to people in my district is this understanding of the police department and crime here. This is a really unique place to live. I mean, just this week, someone was caught stealing cars. They stole like 30 cars. I'm like, where the hell are you going to go?
I know.
Like that you're going to hide. You can't get across the border. What are you going to rally it to, Eklutna or something? Apparently that's what they did. I mean, we have this sort of bizarre structure. It's just really unique. So can you talk a little bit about that? What do you see that's not happening. I'm sure you're supportive of the police department. I
Oh,
know they're very
absolutely.
supportive of you right now. But what do you think, as an assembly member, having been in the department, can you do to help them?
Well, there's several things. First of all, I'd like to be able to help the municipality as a whole. And just because you don't live in my district, you probably know people that live in my district. So put a bug in their ear more than anything. But you know, I wish you could get zone exemptions like you do at the schools. Like, you know, hey, I'd like to go play for this coach on volleyball or, you know, in hockey. And, you know, if you don't like the person you're voting, well, anyway. The thing that I think I offer with public safety on the assembly is just the understanding, the experience, and the knowledge that, and some, and mostly for me, in leadership roles, that we were dealing with budgets and we were dealing with strategies on policing and what do we do in response and how to be prepared, and frankly, we're trying to be proactive, and I think that's should be the goal of all the services for the city, is why wait till something happens and then just simply staff to respond? It doesn't seem to make much sense. You have much more victimization that way, and of course the loss is on many fronts. So what I'd like to see is what people don't realize, what was not being talked about, is this city is staffed at just about 1.2, 1.3 per thousand officers, 1.3 officers per thousand. And that was an old dated number. And of course, I think you know that we've lost almost 30. It's about almost a tenth of the force. It's about 10% of the force, almost an entire patrol shift, if you will. And that's significant when the national average for law enforcement in our cities are 3 per thousand. And so we're at 1.3 to begin with. That's the truth. Look it up online. And we have
just told me to Google it. No, no, seriously. So we're at like 1, and the national average is 3.
It's 3, and what is more significant that people need to realize is that that 3 per thousand also represents municipalities that have adjoining cities who also have a police department, counties where they have sheriff's department that also operate within those jurisdictions. The Anchorage Police Department is about, well, if you want to talk road areas, it's about 111 square miles. But if you include the parks and the Chugach Fort, it's about 1,800 square miles. You compare that to St. Paul, Minnesota, Buffalo, New York. These are comparable jurisdictions. Our crime rate is lower, and their officer ratio is higher. They're nearly 2 or better per thousand. And you know, you wonder why we're having some difficulties in prevention categories.
Right.
We don't talk about prevention because we don't staff for prevention.
Right, you're right, we don't. So other than things going on with the police department, I understand how much that affects people. It affects the economy. I don't want to walk downtown after dark.
You can't.
I don't want to, well, you know,
cut to the chase here, that you can't have a community, you can't have quality of life if you're not safe. If you don't have safe roadways, safe parks, safe places to shop, safe subdivisions, and safer workplace, what do you have? What's quality? What can you go from there? And I think that's the important part. It's not my only priority, but certainly I'm passionate about it.
So tell me another thing. We just have a couple of minutes left. But
sure.
What's another thing that really is important to you?
Well, you know, I've talked to several people in my neighborhood going door to door, and they're concerned about the infrastructure, the roadways. We've got several roads that are in disrepair. We keep this thing's called, the buzzword called deferred maintenance, and we keep punting the football down the field instead of picking it up and dealing with it. And I think that's one of the things that's very disturbing to me. We've got to do better at fixing what we have. And
those are jobs.
Absolutely.
To fix those things, and right now there's federal funding, there's stimulus money, there's state money for those stimulus projects. Sure. It's like those mean jobs, and it also means saving the Volkswagens from potholes.
The importance that I bring to the Assembly and my vision for the city is I'm nonpartisan, which is, you know.
You are, more than anybody that ever has said that to me.
Thank you. And
people tell me all the time, I'm nonpartisan. I'm like, crap, you are you are.
I am fiscally conservative. I've got I'm a Christian. I have a lot of my own personal views that, quite frankly, what the Constitution says and what our charter says about municipal elected office is that you shall serve in a nonpartisan way. That doesn't mean you cannot belong to a party or believe in party planks and platforms. I respect that. But you need to remember that when you're representing the people who voted for you, the people who didn't vote for you, and more importantly, in a larger percentage, the people who didn't even vote. And they all have a voice, and they all need to be served accordingly, and we have to provide the services. People are paying $430 million of their hard-earned dollars for services, and quite frankly, we're starting to slip in our services.
And we're starting to see where some of that money goes. You know what? We're out of time, but you know what? I wish I could move to your district. I would vote for you.
You'd have had to done it before March 7th to make an impact.
I know.
So talk to your friends. Talk to your friends on the East Side.
I will. I'll talk to them. Hey, East Side, you need to vote for Paul Honeman. How's that?
Do it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. This has been More Up North, and we'll be back with our panel.